Good evening, everyone. I now call our November 20th council meeting to order, and I'll ask Dr. Allen to come up and lead us in prayer. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Let's bow our heads, please, in prayer. God of love, we thank you for this day of life and this opportunity for this town council to meet tonight. I pray that as these council members who are gathered here tonight continue to practice governing in the spirit of cooperation and understanding among its members, I pray that they continue to lead continue to lead the citizens of Blackstone as they introduce laws for the good of the town citizens. Grant these council members wisdom and courage to do what is right and good and true. Guide them to speak out when it is time to speak out and listen patiently and receptively when it's time to listen. May they always be guided by the spirit of community, by the spirit of justice, and by the spirit of love. And bless all of them to have a happy and safe Thanksgiving holiday with their family and friends. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Those that are able, will you mind standing as we pay honor to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's great to see everyone here tonight, and if y'all will join me in wishing Mr. Gormas a happy birthday.
Happy birthday!
Do we have anyone that would like to lead us in happy? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
I have a couple of additions to the agenda that I'm going to make, and then I'll be asking council if you have any. I'll be adding a letter from Delphine folks to the visitor section. She has asked me to read this letter, and I will do so after we hear from all the other visitors. Also, we had a closed session for town manager. I'm going to be dropping that. We will not have that closed session tonight. And I will be adding new business number 10, which is to address a motion made by the Nottaway County Board of Supervisors to extend Mr. Van Norbeck's mutual employment agreement that we have with the county. So we'll take that up there. Members of council, do you have any additions?
What was the second item that is that a removal or?
No, new business number 10. I'm
What was
adding
the second item, the one before that? I apologize.
I'm just adding a visitor, a letter from Ms. Delphine.
I think that-
He removed the closed session.
Remove the closed session.
Move closed session.
There's no need not to take that employment agreement up in open session.
And would you mind adding that resolution that was presented today?
Or we can do that under the other one.
Can you handle that?
Yep.
Very good. Members of council, you have before you 3 sets of minutes. You may address them collectively or individually. What's the council's pleasure?
Approve and dispense of the reading of all three.
So moved.
Mr. Nash has moved and Mr. Miller has seconded. Is there any discussion or any questions about the minutes? They're very good, as they always are. Hearing none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All those in favor to approve the minutes indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. The next portion, we don't have any public hearings tonight, do we, Mr. Manager?
We do not.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is visitors. There are 2 opportunities that citizens may come to the podium and address the council. Now is the first time. The other will be at the end of our agenda. The first visitor I have on tab tonight is Mr. Aaron McDonald. Is he here?
I think it is a topic-specific issue.
Did you want to take it up without him here?
I can. I
Okay.
think that,
Okay.
oh, he indicated he wasn't gonna come. He didn't? Okay. If you'd like to, you can handle the Baptist church, and I think that may establish,
I think they are represented tonight.
they're here tonight, if you'd like to talk about, and both issues are about water leaks or running commodes or leaking valves.
Well,
And
we have a.
big
we have a-
utility bills.
Yes, sir.
But I think this Blackstone, well, you were in there the other day when we talked about this.
Mhm.
And what he stated was he was working on the parking lot
That's correct.
of the church. Now, and what he was saying was, they do the work, and I think it's $832. He's out there putting the lines in the day I witnessed him. So in other words, they're clearing up the parking lot. So what he's asking for is for that to cover that $832 or whatever it is
For the church.
for the church.
All right, if you don't mind, Mr. Miller, I've already brought up Mr. McDonald. Let me dispatch that.
Well,
So
are
it-
we dispatching it or holding it until after the church?
No,
Well,
I'm gonna go and take it up now.
I think this is a delinquent bill, and I think he's expecting because we told him, just pay the electric portion of your bill. Council will resolve this on Monday night, and that'll dictate how much your bill will be, but it needs to be resolved tonight.
So let's do this. You're at the podium. Mr. McDonald is not here. He's indicated that he wouldn't be here, and that you would report to him tomorrow. You have a bullet in the packet.
There is a bullet in the
So let's take that
packet.
up. Members of council, Mr. McDonald is seeking relief on his water sewer bill. And you have in your packet two bills, one for August and one for September. And there's also two pieces of correspondence. And I'd like the manager to brief you on the situation and the knowledge that he can bring to bear on this.
Received a call from Mr. McDonald last week, I guess, and indicating he had a very significant water bill. He did provide to the, I guess, treasurer's office and to us a copy of a statement from the J&J Mechanical that came out and looked at his house and what was going on. They indicated that they did not see any water on the ground, that the meter was not running when Andre was there, and indeed Andre also provided us a written statement, Andre Hicks being our water and sewer superintendent. And I'll read to you first the plumber's comment. It said, tenant explained that the water bill was about $1,000, and I think it is pretty substantial. He had shut off the toilet in the back bathroom months ago due to the first high water bill. Checked the crawl space, did not see water standing or running. Checked water meter and was not moving. Called Town of Blackstone, and they would come out and check meter to verify everything is functioning correctly. And then Andre's commentary afterwards, when we asked him to provide something in writing about what he found, it says, we did stop by there a few weeks ago when the plumber called about checking the water meter. At that time, there was no water going through the meter. The plumber did tell us about the back bathroom toilet valve was leaking where the water goes back into the sewer, so it was not noticeable by the homeowner. So I think it's a leaking toilet. According to Andre, it's a leaking toilet. And,
Somebody lives in this house?
pardon? Yes, the
Someone
people,
lives there.
there are residents there. Aaron McDonald, in fact, is the gentleman whose the account is in his name.
My question on this is, they got a $1,700 water bill. They brought a plumber out. He didn't do any work at all. It says $0. Didn't charge him for any work. Said there was nothing he found. They talked about a previous water leak from a high bill that they didn't come to us to ask relief for, and they fixed that by shutting the toilet off. Either way, the plumber didn't fix that. If maybe was Andre confused about what the plumber said? I mean, I know he's not here, but how does the bill level out if no work was done? And I think their concern was they thought this was a false reading.
I think they had a toilet leaking and he cut the toilet off, is the best explanation I can
But he cut it
provide
off
to you.
months. He cut it off months before this.
I don't know what happened as far as those circumstances, cutting it on or cutting it off, but I do believe Andre believes that there was a valve leaking in the toilet in the rear. I don't think that's necessarily in dispute. But Mr. McDonald said it was several months before and shouldn't be reflected on this particular bill. I don't have the exact date that he cut it off, but he said he did cut off the back when pressed.
Any questions or comments from members of council?
What's been past practice with personal situations like this? Not 501c3.
Normally only relieve the sewer if it didn't go in the sewer.
But I believe we did have someone recently that paid both portions on a payment plan. Is that what you?
Several years ago,
Okay, several years
I
ago.
believe it was a resident on 3rd Street. We set up an payment plan. I think it was 8 months, Ms. Henderson, if I'm not mistaken. And then there's been some since then that they were there was relief provided to other requesters.
Do you have any recommendations,
Didn't we,
Mr. Manager?
I think at a minimum, you can do the sewer, which would be half, literally water and sewer per 1,000 gallons are the same. So at a minimum, I would do that.
didn't we give a resident a credit over on, I think it was, College Avenue? when
I
they
think
had a
that's the individual I
water
was just
heater?
talking about, that
Water heater?
since then there's been credit provided.
Yeah,
So I can't remember if it was 100% credit or it was just on the sewer.
it's like a water heater issue, right? I think it was.
I think it was,
They
again, a
replaced it.
leaking toilet. I think those are pretty common. And
We have never forgiven an entire water bill except for the VFW, in my recent opinion, in my recent.
I don't
memory.
recall my
And
8
we've
years on
we've
council. either.
forgiven the sewer portion, yes.
Have we forgiven, and you're saying we've forgiven the sewer portion in the past, or water that went into the sewer?
I believe so. I think it was Dr. Bradshaw that we provided I believe it was at the dentist's office. Yeah.
What's your
But-
pleasure, council?
I mean, it's a big bill, and people are sympathetic. And I think you're going to have a second request, very similar, different circumstances because it's not a private individual necessarily. It's more of a nonprofit organization, but I think the same types of circumstances. But Mr. McDaniel could present his case when it comes up.
Well, if I'm not gonna hear any, I beg your pardon?
I'll move to lower the sewer portion of the bill to the normal. I don't know if this one shows normal on here. I don't wanna say $26.49.
Right.
But whatever
Back to
normal.
what they usually use.
Yes.
Was the previous bill $566.78? It says a $566.78 credit payment received.
Yes, then yes.
You want me to pull it up on the screen?
Well, that's
Well-
all they paid, that's all they paid
No,
on,
no,
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 he's-
no, 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 no.
that's all they paid on 1,700.
He's looking for the previous month of this, before the.
But it looks like they just paid that much on the balance.
So how much are we actually talking about?
You're talking about
411,
And the whole total bill is 800?
$11.99.
The sewer portion that I see is like $464.
Okay, so we're gonna alleviate 400 and leave her a $900 payment, right?
Point of procedure, Mr. Mayor, I'll second your motion so we can have the discussion. Sorry about that.
There hasn't been a motion put on the floor.
You made a
We
motion.
may, so let me, hold on a minute. So we have a motion on the floor to relieve, $400 and some dollars to drop the sewer bill to the monthly minimum. Is that correct, Mr. Nash?
the normal usage.
This
Whatever.
customer's normal usage,
Yeah.
Which
okay?
is approximately the
I'm
minimum.
glad I
It's not much
clarified.
more.
So the motion is to go back and how many months? 6-month average?
Yeah.
A 6-month average of his normal sewer bill, and we would waive the balance. Are you seconding that?
Is this just for one?
And Mr. Page has seconded, so now we're discussing the
May
motion.
I
on
also
the-
ask, that portion is still significantly more because of the water portion. Would you be also agreeable if we provide a payment plan?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
3 months,
All
4
right.
months, whatever we can
If
work
you don't
out.
mind, that's got a little complexity to it.
And
Let's
we-
dispatch of this motion and we'll talk about it, but thank you. I just don't want the two intertwined. That does not make me,
So this motion is to reduce it by $464.35.
no,
No.
by, the,
You will calculate a 6-month average,
no,
take that from the
no,
464.
yeah, whatever his average bill is, and what this is in excess of, is the motion to relieve.
I thought it was to drop the sewer, down to its average sewer usage.
Right,
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
I
for
said.
6 months, okay.
Well, there's a minimum.
Yeah, so it's gonna be about $438 credit. Or 35.
Well, it won't be a credit
No,
on this
it's not.
county.
I
it'll
mean,
just be reduced.
discount, reduction, I apologize, I'm sorry, yeah, reduction,
any other discussion?
sorry about that.
Where do we draw the line on the next one? That's my question.
I don't know, you're gonna get a chance here in just a very few minutes.
Well, that one's a different one. We've
That's a
already kind of
different,
set up
this is,
something
this is
for
a
that.
different situation, so I hope don't nobody get confused about this next situation coming up.
Well, I can't answer that question because y'all speak through your motions. So, you know, if you wanna set a policy, then we need to draft one.
We got a motion and a second right now.
But we have a motion and a
So a
second now
second right now.
for what I consider to be an exception. So, it sounds like you're taking these requests up
I
on
think
a,
I don't know, is there a policy currently?
What is
Policy
it?
currently is that If it goes down the toilet and we
Then
can't,
it's charged, yeah.
then we're charged. And that's why the bill reflects that. But we do get periodic water leaks and things where people make appeal.
Is there any other discussion? So, I know we have a lengthy agenda, I wanna make sure we're all on the same page here. Mr. Nash moves that Mr. McDonald's bill be waived, the $464.35 less his average use. And Mr. Page is seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Is there any opposed? That motion carries 7-0. Mr. Manager, you wanted to speak to council about a payment plan?
Yes, I think you still have to have a significant amount of money for these folks. And what I would like to do is create something 3 months or 4 months payment plan so they can get caught up on the water portion, which is elevated as well. If that's agreeable to council, do it over 4 months. Regular bill plus 4 month, 1/4
Right.
for the next 4 months.
So you've heard the manager's request. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And how many months, Mr. Nash?
I will say 3 months.
Mr. Nash has
No
moved
interest.
for the remaining water bill, a payment plan for the remaining water bill. Is it for a 3-month equal payment plan? Is there a second?
A second.
Mr. Miller seconds. Is there any discussion?
I have a question.
Okay,
sorry, go ahead.
Mr. Gorman?
Is this common practice, or does anyone that wants to work with a payment plan just talk to
Usually if they have
office?
a large water leak and it's a running toilet.
I'm saying, like, if Jane Doe comes in and her bill's something she can't handle this month, she wants to spread it out,
Everybody's offered 3 payment agreements within 12 months.
but I mean, it's not a council decision typically, though, is it? I mean, it's
Not
something that's
typically, no.
Not typically.
worked out, but, that's why I'm asking. But I mean, I'm in favor of doing it. I want people to pay the bills, but I mean, I just don't wanna set a precedence that we're gonna be running decisions on people paying the utility bills whenever they get behind, that's all.
How far do we normally stretch out? If they were to come to you, how far do you normally stretch it out?
I would probably only do 3 months. If it were something like this where a enormous bill where they had a running toilet and they had their plumber statement, but usually if it's just a high bill with no leak or anything like that, it's just a high bill, they would get, the normal payment plan, which gives them an additional 2 weeks to pay. Past the due date, and they get 3 of those within 12 months.
But note that the failure to pay that portion is subsequent reason for disconnection. So we'll cut them off if they don't pay and meet that payment plan in addition to the regular bill.
So what I'm hearing you say, Mr. Wormus, is you'd rather let the utility department
I mean,
handle this.
I just, we decided to give them a break on the sewage, and that's gotta be calculated, and the rest of it is normally not taken care of in here, that's all I'm saying.
I mean, I'm fine, I'll withdraw my motion if that's how council wants to go, perfectly fine with it.
Sounds good to me.
I mean, let it be administrative.
And we normally give them a 3-month payment plan in this situation, so they're gonna get one anyway? Is that what we're discussing? Fine with that?
I think personally that the manager and his staff should have the tools to do their business and not get us tied down in the weeds.
I'll withdraw that motion.
Just so you guys know, the reason I even bring it up,
Hold on just a second, Mr. Miller, you withdraw your second?
I'll withdraw it, yeah.
That motion is quashed.
the reason I bring it up is Miss Henderson. She had a big utility bill, and she had an 8-month payment plan because it was so big. If you remember, it was 8 months, and council did vote on that. I bring it to you. If you guys are comfortable with us handling it, we'll certainly take care
What
of
I
it.
would like to see is that you handle it, and you come up with a situation where you think that's an overburden to the constituent, that then you come to us to get an approval for anything over 3 months. How does that sound, council?
Good with that?
We good with that? Okay. All right, so, Mr. McDaniel, are you here?
Yes, sir, I am.
Would you like to come to the podium, sir? Members of council, this is Mr. Jim McDaniel. He's seeking relief for the Blackstone Baptist Church water and sewer bill. You have bills from April 23 to September 23 in your package, as well as a statement from Mr. McDaniel. Sir, would you like to speak to the council?
Yes, first off, I want to say that y'all have a really great team of employees. Anytime we've ever asked for any help, they did. And in this situation, we dealt with Charlie Atkinson. And he read our meter, and he said, something's wrong, you have a leak. And wife's the secretary there, and she had him come in and found that it was one of our toilet's leaking. I was called and that leak was fixed that day. This is a toilet that we don't use that much. And normally our water bill is anywhere from 25 to, I'll say $35 a month. Well, this had 1 month at $544 and the other one at $417. And those that may not know where we are, 405 South Main, right across from the post office, and we do join the library.
So, Mr. Miller, I cut him off earlier. Would you like the floor, sir?
Yes, he came up to town manager's office, and I happened to be in there. So what's happening is the church is working on the parking lot right there by the library. So they power washed it last week. They told me that they would start putting the lines on there today.
They
I
were
came
done-
by there today after I attended the funeral, and they are working on it. So what he's asking is what he has did for the town to come off of his bill. That's what he's asking. And as you know, the town does use that parking lot, which Philip can talk more about that because that's not beyond my pay grade, but they do use the parking lot. So anything else, I'll let Philip take it over.
And the lines were put down today.
Yes.
Handicap emblems were put down. Visitors' emblems were put down. It was all finished today.
Right.
And I will tell you this, this was planned way ahead before we knew we had a leak. I just want you to know that.
What if you don't mind me, Mr. Manager, what I'd like to do is I would like to see council provide some relief, but I'd like to stay sort of within what we did for Mr. McDonald and the balance that he's asking for. Can we figure out a way to do that separately? That's what I'm not a member of council and I shouldn't be leading, I'm sorry, but that's what I would like to see.
This being a church and 501c3, wouldn't it be in alignment with what we did for Mr. Hogue?
Yeah.
Well, what we did for Mr. Hogue was cash money from 2 members of council and the mayor.
Well,
Yeah, I
we waived the
contributed
first
too.
one.
We waived the first one,
We
but I
waived the
think,
first one, and then there was a leak on the second one, and
We brought it back to the monthly average, what they normally pay. And
Well,
that was over.
there's something else to consider. They've been very, very kind with us about letting us use their parking lot without any restrictions for the
I mean,
library.
I don't know how much we're talking about there. I didn't know that was coming up.
And plus, he did not deny that it was their fault. I mean, he came to us and told us that the church had a problem and they corrected it. Most time you get it, it's not the bonus problem, but he did come to us, and the work that he said he was doing is being done.
I'm pretty sure that bill we dropped down from $1,200 to like $250.
It was whatever it was the month
Yeah,
before.
something like that.
what was the first bill?
The first one was $544, and the second one was $417. Of course, you would take, if you combine those together, you'd take $100 roughly off of that, because that's about what our average, say, would run.
Okay, well, I think going in line with what we did on the previous, for the first bill, and we'll talk about the second bill, I make a motion to put both the water and the sewer on the first bill back to the average usage for both the water and the sewer.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to credit this account to the normal average use.
For the first bill,
For the first bill,
The
okay?
water and sewer, right?
water and sewer.
Water and sewer.
And we'll talk about the second.
Is any discussion?
Which is the bill that each of them total $272.22, $272.29.
That's right.
But I got a question though. You paid $800 and some before, right?
The total was $862.09 is the excess amount that we have for the 2 months. $862.09.
So this is 500 of it.
Total bill was $825.21 was the first bill that we got when we did not know we had the leak.
Yeah, well, that was water, sewer, electric, the whole thing. Yeah.
That's the one we just motioned and second.
So your total overage is $862.09. That's higher than what you normally pay.
Much. Yeah, usually our water and sewer bill runs between $25 and $35.
You paid $862.09 more than what you normally do, right?
For 2 months.
2 months.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Gentlemen, y'all have any discussion?
Could you be, since I'm not gonna show these, could you be specific on the month in the motion?
Ten thirty-one.
10,
Yeah. It-
When it was due October 31st.
For August 1 to
That's
9.
September to October.
right.
And then the other bill I have before me is August 1st to September 1st.
That's the one.
That's the one.
Is this the one we're
That's
talking
4
about
cent.
That's the
now?
one we're talking about,
Motion on the floor is for the 8/25/21, correct?
Right.
That's the
right.
one. That's the one they motion on October 31st.
To reduce both of those water and sewer back down to basically the minimum usage.
Okay, and that is on the August bill, is that correct?
That's the 544
It's an
bill.
October bill, due October 31st, for usage from August 1st to September 1st.
Okay, okay. Is there any other discussion on Mr. Almond's motion? Madam Clerk, do you remember who seconded that?
No, no, wait a minute, no, that's not the, your typical bill is how much per month, typically before all this started?
Between $25 and $35. That's just water and sewer.
Just the water and sewer.
Okay, so we're talking about the 335.96 month, not the 825.
We're talking about the 544 a month.
That's what I'm asking, I mean, I
Okay,
don't even
the
see
five-
the
Look at the bill.
It's
that has the due
207.
date of
See-
10/31 at the top.
Due date at 10/30?
See,
You're
270
talking about August, you're talking about October.
That's
No, no.
August.
Well, you get almost 2.5 months to pay your bill.
Yeah, we're talking
So
about
if
the
you want
same.
apples and apples, Mr. Gorman,
Well,
look at the top and it says.
it's
hold on just a
272
minute.
twice.
Hold on just a minute,
You
Mr.
see that bill?
Okay,
I'd rather you source it by, at the top.
That's right
it
here,
says Due
isn't it?
date of 10/31/23. You see that
$825.21, right?
Okay.
I do.
Yeah.
Higher of the two bills.
Is that the bill that you're talking about, Mr. Alman?
Yes.
Yes.
And
Yes,
did,
that's why I'm getting that, it's
Okay.
not the $300 one, it's the
Right.
$800
Yes, the $825 due date 10/31 from 8/1
Yes.
to 9/1.
I'm remiss that I don't remember the second. Who was that?
I did.
That's
Gorman
correct,
second.
Mr. Gorman second. Is there any other discussion about the bill that's due date is 10/31 to reduce it back to their normal usage?
I have a secondary motion on that.
All right,
A motion that we reduce that bill by $416.65.
is there a second?
Second.
That-
What is the 416 in counter?
Oh, you know what, I apologize, my math is wrong, I apologize, because his average is it's $50 a month, so it'd be $50 minus that, so 416.65.
I certainly think the treasurer can figure this
I
out.
apologize,
I
yes.
think the treasurer can figure this
Well,
out.
we
I'm
were
sorry,
doing it-
$366.65.
I'm gonna make a second. Can I make a
417.65.
We'll have a secondary, thirdary.
Wait a minute.
Page, what amount did you say?
It's $366.65 is my motion.
Hold still. Do you have a
That's what
second?
he was charged, minus $50, which is 25 for water, 25 for sewer.
All right, is there a second to the first secondary motion? Hearing none, that dies. Mr. Miller, do you have a secondary
I got a
motion?
secondary motion. Why don't we take this here case and do like we did the last case?
That's
and
what,
turn
that's
it
what
over
the
to
motion
him?
was, that he started with.
Yeah,
I'm doing
turn it-
we're doing it exactly like
Right,
the last.
do it
one.
like we did the last. Just turn it over to admin, let admin handle it, and we get out of it.
We
I
can't
think
do
Chris
that.
is just trying to get
We can't do
the
that.
dollar figure.
He's
The
referencing
dollar
it.
figure would technically be $494.51.
On
He's
this bill?
referencing a different
On,
bill.
on the 10, on the
I just,
11/30?
wait a minute, guys. I don't know why y'all can't leave the math to the treasurer.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Give
I
it
mean,
Treasure.
Lord have mercy.
Well, it's simple enough just to reduce it back to what the average is.
That's the original motion.
825, yeah, that one.
I'm gonna call for, look, I've had enough. I'm gonna call for the question. There's a motion and a second to reduce this bill that was due on the 31st of October back to their normal usage. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Did you wanna take up the second bill?
I would like to
Motion
take up the
carries 7-0. Mr. Alman, you have the floor.
Make a motion to waive the sewer, back to the average on the second bill.
Is there a second?
So move.
Mr. Miller seconds. Any discussion?
And what is the date on that bill?
10/30 is the due date.
No, the one we just did,
11/30.
11/30.
11:30.
This is 9/29.
Yeah, he talking about the.
I appreciate it. I'm already
11.
confused enough
But I'm open
and
to.
nearly rattled.
I'm open to discussion on that. though, so
Okay.
if anybody wants to talk about it.
There's a motion and a second, is there, to reduce the sewage part of this bill back to the minimum or the normal usage?
Normal use.
Okay, Mr. Miller, second. Any discussion? All right, voice vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Just so I'm clear and I can go back and tell the people at the church. I understand the first bill, we will pay just our normal water sewer bill.
That is correct.
Second bill, we're going to have the sewer cut out and we will pay the 208 on the water. Plus your normal, whatever we use
Or so.
on it. Got you covered. And I thank you very
Is that
much.
agreeable to you, sir?
And that first bill you referred
Well,
to,
it's a whole lot better than where I started, so yes, it is agreeable. And I invite y'all to come up and look at the parking lot. On Time Performance did this for us, and no charge to anybody.
Thank you so much.
Exactly so. Everything is done, and I that's what I told them. We'd like to get it done before the end of the week.
All righty. Thank you so much for
Yes,
coming.
thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to come forward and speak to the council? Hearing none, I received a letter from Mrs. Delphine Simmons Folks that she's asked me to read. Council was furnished a copy of this earlier today, and I will read it now. Dearest Mayor Green, I am writing you as Delphine Simmons Folks, and not to get mistaken, has anything to do with Nottaway County Public Schools. On November 6th, 2023, I received a telephone message from my secretary informing me of one of my parents wanted to speak with me. Once I returned to my office, I called the parent and he asked if he could come speak with me. I asked the parent when he would like to come. He stated he would be to my office in less than 10 minutes. I said, I will see you then. Mr. Page came to my office, sat down, and began talking with me. He met with my assistant principal, Dr. LaCara Hawks, and I. We were informed of what he needed for his child and were glad to help him. Before we went to speak with the teacher, he stated he had another matter to discuss, and Dr. Hawks and I agreed. As Mr. Page sat across from my desk to my left and Dr. Hawks to my right, he took out his telephone and began to play music. He said he sent a clip of a particular song from someone who was at our Harvest Festival the Saturday before. He stated he was not at the Harvest Festival. Mr. Page went on to say how he was a DJ, which he stated several times, and he would have played this song versus that song, etc. He shared his concerns about how he felt that particular song or songs of the same nature shouldn't be played at a school event for 4-year-olds. Once again, he stated he was a DJ. We talked about how unfortunately the radio versions of songs these days don't seem to be suitable. I did say to him that some of the songs the students sing at school would shock us. I told him there were a variety of music played at the festival, and I know the DJ cut some songs at a certain point, as well as beeped them out. He went on to inform me that he was a town official and that he DJs a lot of town events. Being that I never met Mr. Page before, I asked where, and he replied the town of Blackstone. I still don't know what the relevance that he had, unless at this point he was representing the town in his remarks. I said to him, oh, okay, there actually was an official there and a couple of pastors. Mr. Page went on to pretty much reiterate the same thing he had said previously. I did tell Mr. Page that most of the music played that day was for the Cake and Pumpkin Walk, and I told him there were so many activities going on that day that we were attending to, and that unfortunately I didn't catch every word of every song. As we ended the conversation, I thanked him for coming by with his concerns, and moving forward, we would be aware of the music. Mr. Page stood up, reached his hand out to shake my hand, and extended mine as well. I think then he extended his hands to Dr. Hawks. He thanked us for talking with him because he wanted to make us aware and not to take it any further. I looked at this kind of like in the Western days. A handshake was your bond and it meant a lot. I must say I wasn't shocked, however, not surprised, when Mr. Page came to speak at the board meeting, because when Mr. Page left my office, he said thank you, and he didn't want to have to take it any further. He also wrote on his Facebook page, I did speak to the principal about this yesterday because my daughter attended this event and her mom and I were not happy. She at least seemed receptive of the feedback. If I was receptive and I had what I thought was an administrator to parent conversation, how did we end up with my name continuously posted by an official, as I was told during the meeting? On Thursday, the 16th, two people were in the parking lot of the school with intentions of meeting with administration. It was reported that one of these people got sick and was throwing up, and the other person was Mr. Page. This has now been over 10 days since the festival. We have listened, communicated, came up with steps moving forward, and it still does not seem to be enough. I'm smart enough to know that a person can't help what people comment on their social media page. However, when they initiate the comments, they are just as much involved as the person making the comments. As stated in my earlier comment, this is not a school issue, this is a citizen concern. I am not one that plays tit for tat, therefore you will not see me going back and forth with anyone. My personal name has been tagged in posts, people have screenshot me comments, etc. Unfortunately, the school page has had to play privy to undesirable comments. I hate the fact that the school page, where we highlight the great accomplishments of our students and teachers, has been overshadowed with darkness. Mayor Green, I sent you pictures of the Fall Harvest Festival. I hope you share the pictures along with this letter to your council. They can see what a wonderful event was held, and the children and adults so enjoyed themselves. The DJs for the events have played for the schools of Nottaway County Public Schools for years, and sometimes rendered their services for free. We are thankful this was one of these times. The DJ was asked to play songs he refused. As a school and a division moving forward, prior to any event, we will request a playlist and censor what is requested. Parents will be provided with the list. Mr. Page, I will give you an opportunity to speak first, and I would ask you not to get into a personal nature with Ms. Folks, but I certainly feel you're entitled to speak.
I appreciate that, and that was a lot longer than the normal 3 minutes, so I'd ask for a little time. I have a prepared speech. But just to have one quick question, you were asked to read that?
Yes, in an email. I was.
Did we solicit that at all? You know, hey, send us an email, we'll read it, or anything like that, or?
No.
Okay, all right.
I visited with her.
Visited with her?
I visited with her so the public can know. Mr. Miller and I have conversations from time to time, which I think is very healthy. And he told me about an incident that happened there, and I read the paper and we discussed it. And I believe you suggested I should contact her, is that correct?
Because I contacted.
Right, you contacted her and you said it would be a good idea if I contacted her. So I did, and I visited her, and this is basically what she told me. 3 or 4 days later, I received a messenger message that she wanted to write a letter. Now, I told her she was free to do so, and she sent it to me with an email asking me to read it to the council.
I appreciate it.
So I have done that.
Thank you for being transparent with that. Okay, so every parent in Virginia, elected or not, has a fundamental right to be involved in their child's education. This right does not cease to exist when one becomes an elected official. These rights include monitoring what your child is exposed to at school, the right to address issues with school administration, and even the right to speak at school board meetings when concerns are not addressed in a satisfactory manner by school administration. While Ms. Folks insists that she's writing this letter to Mayor Green as a citizen and not as a representative of Nottaway County Public Schools, it is painfully obvious that she is releasing possibly and most likely confidential information that only a representative of the school would be privy to. Parents depend on confidentiality when discussing their child's information with school administration. And while a parent is allowed to disclose information about their child's education in conversations with school officials, administration is not. While I do not have the time today to discuss all the defamatory, slanderous, and inaccurate statements mentioned in Ms. Folk's letter, I will discuss the 3 issues brought forth that insinuate some type of wrongdoing on my part as an elected official. Ms. Folk states that I informed her that I was a member of the town council and that she had no idea what that had to do with the conversation. This statement is purposely constructed to insinuate that I tried to use my position to get some type of result or to, at minimum, give that perception. What actually happened was I expressed to Ms. Folks that I was not the only parent raising concerns, and many parents reached out to me after the event. Ms. Folks replied, "Why would they reach out to you and not us directly?" To which I responded, "Many parents are afraid to speak out about what is happening in our schools in fear of retaliation, so they reach out to their local leaders and elected officials." Ms. Folks then asked me, "Oh, are you an elected official?" And I said, "I am, with the town of Blackstone." Unfortunately, I cannot get rid of that title. Citizens have given that to me. Ms. Folks stated that I was at the school during school hours with a person throwing up in the parking lot on Thursday, November 16th in this letter. Anyone who knows me knows that I left for a very long road trip to San Antonio, Texas, Monday afternoon and did not return until 9:40 p.m. Thursday evening. How could I be in Atlanta posting on Facebook about videos of the traffic at 1 p.m. and be at the school during school hours wanting to speak with the school administration? I had a phone conversation with Manager Van Norbeck that day at 3:24 p.m. and 3:41 p.m. while traveling through South Carolina on I-85. I could do a lot of things, but I cannot be in two places at once. Hopefully, Ms. Folks called the Blackstone Volunteer Fire Department and requested medical attention for the person who was sick in the parking lot. As for Facebook posts, as any other citizen, it is my right to post videos of school board meetings and to inform the public what has happened to me since that meeting. I have no control over what someone else comments, nor am I allowed to delete them by law. If parents want to post on Blackstone Primary School Facebook, that is their prerogative if the page allows for public comment. While most of this letter was constructed in an attempt for council to take some sort of action against me, I'm putting council on notice that this letter is filled with inaccurate depictions of a confidential conversation about my child's education that I did not release. If Ms. Folks wants to make our schools a town issue, let's discuss how NCPS has the 11th worst schools in the state out of 194 districts. Let's discuss how our failing schools impact our economic growth in town. Let's discuss how Fast C employees moved out of county and commute to work instead of living in Blackstone, and their number one reason for doing so is the poor quality of education. Tonight, right here, tonight, let's discuss how the children of our constituents in this town are subjected to bullying and harassment with minimum intervention or consequences by administration. Let's discuss how parents like me are retaliated against for speaking out at a government meeting and bringing forth their grievances with their child's school administrators. Since this incident, Ms. Folks has reached out to the media about my business, passing rumors on why or why not I do not play at certain locations anymore. I have those messages in writing. She is communicating to the press false and misleading information regarding my conversation about my child's education, and even made up stories about me being in the parking lot on Thursday at certain dates and times when I was clearly out of state. If anyone has showed unacceptable and inappropriate professional behavior in this matter, it's been clearly Mrs. Folks. Thank you.
Okay, members of council, do you have any comments or questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
How did the town get involved in this when this is a county thing? This is my question. Now, there's two sides to every story. But we're being involved in something that we shouldn't be. You understand what I'm saying? This is a school board thing. This is not us. Now, if one of our councilmen did something inappropriately, then I can understand it, why they're coming to us. But here again, we are not responsible for our councilmen's actions. But, as you all know, we get held up for it. So, I just don't understand it. I mean, that should have been something that you and this lady should have took forward instead of bringing it. And if you went to this lady saying that you were from town council of Blackstone, I would be in for you too. Because to me, that's a threat.
That's not what happened. She asked me a question, why people reach out to me. I told her people are afraid to talk, and they reach out to me. And she asked me if I was elected. I told her I was.
Why did they reach out to you about school?
I've been getting people reaching out to me for years about school stuff. And not only that, people were discussing the event. My daughter was there. Her mother took the video and the audio. Her grandmother were there. They left early. I was very upset that my daughter was subjected to that music and those words. I went and talked to her about it. She seemed receptive of the feedback, but then somebody sent me a Facebook message of her dismissing my complaints, so I went to the school. Yeah,
Again,
again,
don't, not.
I'm just
in the
saying
middle
she
of
wanted to know why in her letter, I'm telling you.
But when people come to you, do they come to you under the assumption that you're gonna address the school as Town of Blackstone or not?
I don't know what people do when they come to you about things that aren't in your purview. I mean, they just,
I think the issue is people do come to us about things that aren't in our purview. I got a handful of messages about, say, some businesses out in our county doing illicit things. But yet, we're not at the county meeting.
yeah, but you have a right to go to the county meeting,
But-
especially when your child's involved. My child was there. She's in the video being there. It's blurred out, but she's there.
But
I have a right to go as a parent, to talk to the school board all I want.
Absolutely,
What-
but
Yep.
I think the issue
And I never
is
once
when
mentioned
you-
the town of Blackstone at that
I
meeting.
think- and I'm not saying this in either way, because to be honest, this is for lack of a better term, he said, she said issue.
right.
I think there just needs to be some clear
Guidelines.
guidance for all of us as council members, that when we're having conversations like that, they need to be prefaced with, I'm not here on behalf of the town of Blackstone, I'm not here speaking to you as a council member, I'm here speaking to you as a parent. And I think that those lines are being blurred in a lot of issues that are coming up lately, and that it's causing a lot of problems for us.
I think anybody who watched the school board speak, I never once mentioned the town of Blackstone. I mentioned my child. My child was there. My child.
I'm still saying this. We should not be involved with the school system. I mean, if you had an issue with this lady, you should have took this issue up with her. The town should have never been involved.
Who are
I
you to tell
understand-
me?
I
Who are
understand.
you to tell me how to handle my child's issue at their school?
No,
That's-
no,
I
no,
don't
hold
think
on,
that, I don't think the issue.
don't
Don't
think
tell
that's-
me how to handle it. I took it
That's
to
not
her.
the issue, Chris.
easy now.
That's not the issue.
I took it to her. I wasn't satisfied. I went to the next step, which is the school board, like any other parent has done in this county.
Did you shake her hand at the end and say you weren't satisfied?
And yes, and then the next day I got a message showing her, saying that basically saying that I was just there to be negative, and that all the other feedback of the event was positive. So when I understood that she wasn't as receptive to my message, I went to the next level.
I think the problem
again.
is that you didn't clarify whether you were there on town business or not, which probably needs to be.
I was
standard
there
for
in a
all of us.
meeting with the school and the principal, with me and her, talking about issues with my child, which she just released to you. I just talked about the teacher. We had an issue there. That's what she told you. They handled that. I told them I had another problem with the school I wanted to discuss, and my child was there at this event, and this music was played. It was a parent-teacher conference, and she should have released the information. We shouldn't even be sitting here discussing it.
But what I'm saying is when, and it's just a suggestion, there's no law that says you have to or you don't have to. When you're in one of those situations and you say, I'm getting messages from people from the community to talk about this, you really need to clarify whether you're there as a council member or you're there as a parent.
Okay.
There's been numerous accusations of council members throwing weight when they go into a situation using their title. Other accusations for yourself, throwing weight around to try to get things done. And we just really need to be careful as council members that we don't come across that way and we don't do it at all.
Yeah. Well, I can't help it if somebody wants to use the title that you have or I have or against us when they don't like our message.
I don't
Did you
want,
tell her you weren't there as a council member?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I told her, never told her I was there as a council member, never once. This was at the end of the conversation, and I told her, I said, I'm not the only parent here complaining, because it was already online. And I said, a lot of people reach out to me, send me videos, and she said, why are they reaching out to you and not us? And I get that a lot. I have for years before I got on this council. And I said, well, a lot of people afraid to speak at the school because of retaliation. So a lot of times they reach out to their local leaders and officials. And she said, well, are you elected? I said, yes, with the town of Blackstone. And that was the end of it. But it had nothing like I was here with the town of
The issue
Blackstone.
is because you didn't clarify that you weren't there on behalf of the town after all that stuff came out, it comes across like you're bullying her as a town council member.
It's just coming out
That is
now.
unacceptable behavior for
It's
council
coming out
members.
now. She's just now releasing it to the public. What are you talking
well, the
about?
reason I visited her, because she said she felt bullied and pressured.
You could have called me.
Now, I have a question, and I don't wanna get in the weeds, but you said that your conversations with her were confidential and they didn't need to be. But, so what gives you the right to hear from other people and engage on their behalf?
What do you mean?
Well, you said that people called you and told you that they had issues or this, that, and the other, and they brought it to your attention, and you brought it to Principal Folks' attention.
No. What I
So,
said to
I don't
you,
understand, I don't understand the confidentiality.
I think you're mistaken.
But anytime that I hear a citizen is bullied or feels bullied, then that is a problem to
Well,
me.
I'm gonna
And
tell you that.
And I do have the floor, sir. Okay? I think that is a problem, and, I think we need to take steps from people feeling that way again. I don't think that anybody should be speaking on behalf of the council but me. I'm the Mayor of Blackstone, and I only speak to members of the council when I have sought and received this council's blessing to do so. Is that correct? Is that correct? So I had a gentleman today call me. He was very distressed. He had a problem with Nottaway County courts. And I told him 3 or 4 times, I said, sir, I'll be honest with you, I have nothing to do with it. He said, well, you're the mayor of Blackstone. And I said, no, I have nothing to do with what goes on in the courts. And I really don't know who to tell you to contact, but I would suggest you go to the Commonwealth Attorney, Miss Leanne Walters. That's the only thing, but I have nothing to do with it. So I don't understand where we need to bring up that I'm a Blackstone official when you're talking about the Nottaway School Board's business and your business as a parent.
The lady asked.
Your business as a
Answer her
council
question.
member, to me, in my opinion, was never relevant. And I think, is that what you're saying, Mr. Alman?
I just think there needs to be a clear line of clarification
Okay.
when you're speaking. on
Uh,
these. I understand you're very politically active, and I applaud you for it.
And I'm not gonna stop
But
because I
you
sit on
need to-
council.
But if you're gonna, and again, this is just a suggestion. My suggestion is if you're gonna continue to be politically active like you are, you need to specify whether or not you're speaking as for the council, as a council member, or as a citizen or parent.
And
That's my only thing. It's something I've had to clarify many times when having conversations. Had to clarify, I'm either speaking as a citizen, I'm one of 7, or this is the consensus of council through a vote.
Like I said, first of all, I can't help it if people come to me, but that wasn't what the meeting was about. The whole meeting was about my child. She asked me at the end of it, I answered her question, and then she turned around and used it against me. But if my child's mother sends me a video and audio of my child in the gym, I'm gonna bring it to the school's attention, and that's what I did.
Well, I certainly hope you would as
And
a
you
father.
just told me why people could send
I certainly would
something, why
hope
would I
that you
bring it?
would.
And that's what I
But
did.
the fact that you're a member of this council has nothing to do with the Nottaway County
The lady
Board of
asked me a
Supervisors.
question, I
I'm
answered.
speaking.
Well,
I gave you some
You
respect.
spoke a lot.
Okay, and I'm the mayor and I'll speak all I want.
Right,
I
you-
will limit you.
Gomez got a
Mr.
question.
Mr. Gormas, hold on. I would certainly hope that you would speak up as a parent, because I know I would. But the fact of the matter is, if I went to Kinston Forest School and I said I have a problem here with the way my child was being reared and being educated, it would never come out of my mouth that I'm the mayor of Blackstone, under no circumstance. And
Even
I
if they
think
asked
that's
you?
my problem.
Even if they asked you?
Why would they have to ask when you told? You
I didn't tell.
told you were an official, you were a town official. I'm not gonna talk anymore about it. Mr. Gormas, you have the floor, sir.
I'm, 11 months into it, but still pulling the rookie card. How does a situation like this conversation come to an end?
Well, what I would suggest is that the council authorized me to write a letter to all the governing boards and to any administrations that receive public comment that Mr. Page does not speak for this council in any shape, form, or fashion, and he's doing so as a citizen or whatever other group that he's doing.
On this issue.
So,
I think there are times that we all speak for council. I would
That's-
say on
that's-
this issue.
That's my suggestion,
I
and then we
think
move on. That,
I'll make a motion that happen, just like you said.
Second.
Mr. Miller seconds. The motion is, Mr. Gormas moves that a letter be written to the Nottaway County Board of Supervisors, the Nottaway County School Board, the 2 adjoining towns in the county, that Mr. Page does not speak for this town council. And that if any,
I'd like to amend that motion to
Oh,
all
yeah.
council members.
okay,
I'd like
all
to
right.
amend it to all. I
Well,
think that's-
hold on, let me get through with that. So you have a motion and a second, and a secondary motion for this to be said, that no member of this council speaks for the town of Blackstone, or the town council.
Speaks for the entire council.
Okay, all right.
Unless
Entire
it's been
council.
voted upon or appointed.
There's a secondary motion, is there a second?
I second.
Ms. Nguyen seconds. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. We'll move.
Do some business beneficial to the town.
That part.
Next in your package, you have a report from the fire chief. Chief Tomer and the Assistant Chief Bears are busy at work tonight. I did not see anything in this report that required your action. If you have any questions, Manager Van Orbit or I will try to help you. Is there anything in here that I can ask the chief for about y'all when he's available? Or you good with the report? good with the report? Hearing none, I'll move on for the payment of bills. Council, you have before you bills that have been paid but need your approval in the amount of $457,653.46. What's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Mr. Nash moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Williams seconds. Is there any discussion or questions?
Have we now, Harmon, Clater, Corrigan, Harris, Matthews, is that the new lawyers we have, or is that?
Harmon, Clater, Corrigan, and Wellman is an attorney that we've hired in response to Mr. Page's intent to file a lawsuit
Okay.
with regard to the town attorney.
So that's $1,800 is part of that.
Hey, where is that on?
Is it on the first page? I've got,
Page 86
Huh?
of 288.
you're on the second batch, sir.
Get two of them, Jay.
I beg your pardon? You're,
I'm going in the
Yeah.
wrong
Okay.
batch.
I have a question about this batch.
hold on a minute. Hold on, Mr. Benoit. Oh, Jesus.
$990 is for an attorney named Missy York is handling our response to Mr. Page's intent to file a lawsuit. And Harris, Matthews, and Crowder is Tessie.
Is this the second batch of bills we're talking about?
39.9. I'm in the wrong batch.
Okay, that's fine.
I have a question about this batch. What's $938.91 to Best Western?
That's for where the linemen go, they stay there when they're doing their week training.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions about this batch of bills?
Gotcha, thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Nash has moved and Ms. Williams has seconded to approve this batch of bills for $457,653.46. I'll ask for a roll call vote beginning with Mr. Page.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 7-0. The second batch of bills that you have before you this evening, let's see. They are bills that need your approval and also need to be paid in the amount of $205,809.72. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Miller moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Page second. Is there any questions on this second batch of bills?
Can you separate actually, I have to withdraw my second. Can you separate the bill for, Missy York? I think I'm gonna need to abstain from that.
That-
$990.
I'll second it.
Okay.
He said he was withdrawing a second, so you
Yep.
need no
You
second.
second? Okay, okay. All right. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Secondary motion. A motion that, we approve the batch of bills minus Missy York and have a separate vote on that.
Is there a second? Hearing none, that motion fails. Any questions about the bills, the second batch of bills?
Philip, the Rugby Environmental, 5,800,
When y'all ask these questions,
first
President,
page,
would you just,
administration,
yeah, under what section?
administration.
Thank you, sir.
That's for the house,
At
Patterson home?
it's 107 Taylor Street.
Was that the Patterson home?
It is, and it was, there is a lien recorded at the courthouse securing that, and she has communicated with our treasurer, who's with us tonight. And she'll be making payments. They're modest, of course. They're like $100 a month, I think is what y'all discussed. Mm-hmm. Okay. Modest payments, but nonetheless payments,
It's something.
nonetheless. But it is secured at the courthouse.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote, beginning with Mr. Page.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 7-0. All right. Mr. Manager, are there any appropriations this evening?
There are no appropriations tonight.
Committee reports, you had two committees meet, Employment and Police met on the 25th. Mr. Miller or either manager, would you care to report?
We met in closed session and reviewed the applications for the police chief position, and 3 candidates were selected for interview by the committee, and this entire council is scheduled to interview those 3 candidates beginning at 6 o'clock tomorrow evening,
I will be continuing this meeting
till 6
to
o'clock.
that. Now, Madam Clerk, Didn't we get out a notice too, in case I forget? We did, okay, we're covered, okay. All right, very good. Any questions for the committee? The insurance committee met on the 15th.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, very quickly, and I apologize to stop the momentum, because we're moving forward, but at your desk are a series